Oh yeah, she's that country girl who overcame the stigma that Southern women are barefoot, backwoods, and backwards. Now she's an articulate voice for conservative values and wisdom in America. Sitting on her front porch, sharing common sense, here's Marnie.
Hi, welcome back to my front porch where we talk about common sense in America. Have you heard a lot of people talk about how big corporations are the enemy and how big corporations get away with things? This is something that a lot of us don't really understand why it's happening. And today I'd like to discuss why big corporations are able to get away with so much, and the big lobbyists, why they're able to get away with so much. In the original Constitution, there were no agencies, no regulatory agencies or federal agencies or bureaucracies. They're not even part of the Constitution. They're completely unconstitutional, and they really didn't come on the scene in prominence until FDR. He began creating all of these different agencies and things, the alphabet soup. Okay, so what happens is, let's say a law is passed that affects workplace environment, for example. Let's say the Congress passes the law and it goes into effect. All right. The law might be the size of a pamphlet or something. It isn't very big. But then it goes to an agency. Let's say it goes to OSHA, for example. And OSHA, an agency that is not bound by, it's not elected. Nobody elects these people. It's not answering really to anybody. The only branch that can create law is Congress, okay? So, but let's say this executive branch agency or something outside of these different branches of government is controlling what happens. What they'll do is they'll take this little pamphlet-sized law and they will make reams and reams, several feet high, full of regulations about implementing this law. And sometimes what the regulations that they come up with violate the original law, but there's nobody micromanaging that. It's just all happening without any form of checks or balances. And so they make up all these regulations, which then are imposed upon, let's say, businesses in this example. And if you violate the regulations, you get fines and different things like that, or maybe it takes a legal team for your business to figure out the complexity of these regulations they come up with. And it's to the advantage of OSHA or whatever agency it is to create something really complex, because then that gives them more power and job security, because the more people who have to implement all this and jump through hoops, then the more jobs then they can create in their agency, and the more power their figureheads have, and the more, they're guaranteed a job in the future, because now there's all this hoopla and regulation and bureaucracy, red tape that's got to be jumped through. So what happens is little businesses can't afford the lawyers to decipher this stuff, or they can't afford to implement the regulations that are complex and everything. So that gives an advantage to bigger corporations that have more money, corporate lawyers on staff who can decipher all the regulations and make sure everything's covered. So that gives an unfair advantage to the corporations over the little guys. You can't just start up a mom and pop and say, for example, that you're organic. You're a little farmer and you're growing organic food. You can't say that. You can't say you're organic. First, you have to have your soil tested by a government agency, and then you have to pay thousands of dollars to a government agency to say that, yeah, your stuff is organic. And it's like a big hoopla thing. So it makes it so that the little guys can't do that. Only the big corporate level food production people are going to be able to jump through all those hoops. So that's one reason that's happening, why the little guys are getting snuffed out by the big guys. Another thing that's happening is these corporations are now in bed with the government. They go up there and they lobby, and they basically bribe the congressman to vote for regulations and things, or they go into these OSHA or EPA or whatever, FDA, all these alphabet soup people, and they bribe them to create regulations that are optimal for them, okay? Something that will be easier for them to deal with, but maybe harder for other people, their competitors. So it's all this manipulation and bribery, and that is why we are seeing this stuff happening. So what we need to do is get rid of these unconstitutional agencies that are under nobody's jurisdiction really and can just do whatever they want, and they're basically in essence creating laws, which is unconstitutional. They're creating laws that if are not obeyed, you can be fined, you can be thrown in prison, you can have all kinds of things done to you, and it never passed through the House of Representatives or the Senate at all. It's completely illegal. So that is what is happening. As we can see, the Founding Fathers knew what they were doing. They were telling us this is all the U.S. Constitution grants the federal government to do, nothing more. Anything else is left to the states or the people. And yet we have this albatross of bureaucratic alphabet soup that is destroying our country and causing the problems that we now see. Y'all take care. God bless.